Welcome to the Sunday edition of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our daily interviews with successful real estate investors. And because it's Sunday, I'll be talking about the lessons that I've learned over the past week in speaking with our amazing guests. And I just want to say I really appreciate all the messages that I've received from you, the viewers, with all the really good things you guys are saying. So first of all, just really appreciate that. We had Joe Bodek on the show on Monday. Joe, really interesting guy. So he started off in traditional real estate, getting into the family business. His family was involved. And he heard, I can't remember if he heard or if he saw an ad for this creative real estate system somebody was selling. And so he said to himself, oh, I'll just buy this. I'll go through the system, prove it doesn't work, and then I'll just keep continuing doing what I'm doing. But unbeknownst to him, he purchased the program. He started doing the steps, and it worked. He got his first deal. And then he said, oh, this is pretty interesting because he was doing the creative real estate side. So in this interview, we talk a lot about lease options and what lease options can do to build your portfolio. And Joe likes to say, it's not about owning the real estate, it's about controlling the real estate, because you can get many of the benefits that come through real estate ownership by just controlling it. So if you're interested in building your portfolio without hitting a capital crunch that most investors hit at some point, or if you just have limited funds, or if you just like using the vendor to finance your purchases, which is always an interesting way of doing things, this is certainly an interview for you to watch. So he ended up getting out of the conventional, traditional side of real estate and just focused on building his real estate business using creative means. So really interesting interview, and I highly encourage you to watch that if you're interested in the creative side of real estate finance and deals. And then we had Kathy Fetke. So Kathy, she was a trooper. She did the interview from her car, so that I really appreciate that with her. Shows extreme dedication. So Kathy talked about how important it is to build a team, because you can't be the best at everything. And if you're doing things in real estate that you hate doing, chances are you're not going to do them at the level you should be doing them at, and you're going to put them on the back burner. So by sourcing people with better skills than you who are performing at that top level and bringing them onto your team, your business will grow a lot faster, and you'll be probably a lot more profitable, because the things that need to get done are getting done at an expert level, and not being put on the back burner. So really interesting talk with that. So this is definitely one you want to listen to about building your real estate business and getting that team set up. And then, so Kathy said that she is a fundraiser. She's not an operator. And I think this is an important distinction to make, because we have, like Kathy was saying before, we all have different strengths. So you have to recognize what you're doing. If somebody's just a talented fundraiser where they can go and raise a couple $1 million in a weekend, focus on your strength, and then just bring other people on your team to support that. So what Kathy does is she's a great fundraiser, sources everything, but then she partners with operators to place that capital. So she's working with the top tier operators who are maybe not necessarily those top tier fundraisers. So it's a great partnership, and both sides benefit and profit a lot more than they would have anyways. And then so Kathy told us a great story about how she got into syndication, and then she talks about a condo deal, and she really knocks this condo deal out of the park. So if you're interested in how Kathy just crushed it with this condo deal, make sure you listen to her interview, because she takes us through the steps and how she did it. So it was really great talking with Kathy. Then we had Gavin Welsh, really cool guy. He wants to retire like a rock star. I'm sure he parties like a rock star right now, but he has that goal where he's just going to live the dream, have the yacht and all that stuff, and he's going to accomplish that through real estate. And who can really blame him? Everybody wishes they were a rock star at some point. So if you don't, he had a really interesting saying, because if you don't have money, because lots of people, I get this question all the time. Hey, Seth, I only have $10,000. How can I possibly get into real estate investing? Well, he says if you don't have the money, leverage somebody else's money and become a 50-50 owner. So just because you don't have the capital, maybe you have the deals. Find the deals. If it's a good deal and you know how to operate the deals, or if you know how to bring on an experienced manager to operate those deals for you, money is always looking for a good deal. So just because you don't have a lot of capital doesn't mean you shouldn't get into real estate investing. It just means you have to partner with people who are bringing that other side of the equation. And it's really important to recognize that yes, that capital money partner is important, but the operator, the person finding the deal, coming up with the business plan, executing that plan, is also equally as important. So it's a 50-50 split. And if you're doing a traditional joint venture, actually we had a great our monthly virtual real estate meetup. So that happens on the third Tuesday of every month. We had Jacob Perez back on, who was a guest, and we actually talked specifically about joint ventures and partnerships in real estate. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out. It was Tuesday, February the 19th that we had that at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you don't miss in March. I believe it's March 19th. So you can register on the website. Just go to sethferguson.org and click on Mastermind for all those details. But to get back to Gavin, that was really important because lots of people, this is what I've learned speaking with probably 100 real estate investors so far. You always want to look for partnerships rather than trying to compete against other people. Because when you have the partnerships, like Kathy was mentioning, you can play off each other's strengths, and everybody wins more because you're having, as long as your interests are aligned. Let's say I don't have the capital, like Gavin's example. I don't have the capital, but I find somebody, but I have the deal. I know how to structure the deal. I know how to execute. Everybody's winning a lot more because the guy with the money has a great deal to invest in. He's getting a great return. And me, I know how to execute. I just didn't have the money. I'm getting a great return too, using my skills. So great messages with Gavin. And he also talks about, so he was grocery shopping, and this is how he found a couple really good deals. So make sure you listen to the interview because the sweet old lady, he overheard her at the grocery store, and he walks us through how he went through that deal and all that stuff. So make sure you listen to his interview. Then we had Mike Butler. So Mike Butler was a former police detective, and he started acquiring real estate while he was still working. So he was working a very stressful, time-consuming job and building up his portfolio at the same time. And he actually he purchased, I think it was 86 properties in 1 year. So that's pretty amazing in itself. But add working as a police detective, going after gangs and all that stuff. Really interesting. I think the key, and he takes us through it, he was very, very consistent in his routine. He had a weekly routine where he would do it like clockwork. He takes us through Monday to Sunday, like the full week, exactly what he was doing. He would always do offers on the same day, and he would never miss it. And I think that's important because I see lots of people trying to start in real estate, or even any business for that matter, where they start off with good intentions and good habits, but they're not really a habit, like good actions, but they don't do them long enough for it to become a habit or for them to see the results. So I think with what Mike was saying, he followed that consistent routine every single week, and that was and him acquiring those 86 properties was a large part in due to that routine he followed. And then he also has like the Boy Scouts pledge. He offers on every single property he looks at. He just might not be putting in offers that the seller might like, but it doesn't matter because you never really know what's going to stick when you put it out there. So on every property he looks at, and he goes through this with us in the interview, walks us through it step by step. Every property he saw that day, he would write an offer, and that's how he grew and acquired 86 properties. I think it was 86 in 1 year. So you definitely want to watch that interview with Mike Butler. Then we had the one and the only Adam, AAA Adams, really great guy. And he talked to us. The message I like the most to kick things off would be his morning routine. So he wakes up and he immediately thinks about what he's grateful for and why he does the work he does. So he uses his kids as an example. Lots of people, especially entrepreneurs, they wake up, they might get frustrated because their kids are running around. They can't do the work that they need to do. But he flips it the other way in that, we're doing the work we do for them. It's like, I'm investing, I'm building my investment business for my son. So it makes sense to wake up and think of my son because he's the one that I'm doing all of this work for. So really great message there. And he talks about his rituals and routines. So really good stuff in that. And then the other thing he touched on was being relentless. So his first deal, he wasn't going to let anything stop him from getting that first deal done. He went to the bank wouldn't finance him. So then he powered through it and got seller financing on it. Then he had a whole bunch of other challenges like he takes us through in the interview. But he was just driving forward, not letting him anything hold him back. So I think that was really powerful. And everybody on their first deal has to go through the same thing. Some people, all the stuff happens on their second or third deal. But whenever that hits, you just have to drive through it because you're going to learn a lot. And it's you just have to take the bumps on the road as they come. Because if real estate real estate's simple, it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it and everybody would be billionaires. And then he talked about a challenge he had in speaking with brokers and getting on that broker's A-list. I know a lot of people, a lot of our reviewers have sent in messages about getting deal flow. Deal flow is always a hot topic, and brokers are a great way of getting deal flow because lots of sellers approach them. They know what's going on in that market. They know who might be considering selling, et cetera, et cetera. But if you just call a broker, cold call a broker off the phone, they don't know who you are. You don't really know who they are. And they have those personal relationships already developed with some other people who they know has a successful track record, who will close, et cetera. So he takes us through what he was doing wrong or could have improved on. So he had some challenges there, and then talks about a good way to start developing those broker relationships so you can get that deal flow. So really great interview there. Actually, all of the interviews this week were really great. And I'm really looking forward to putting up the interviews for next week. So until then, I wish you well on your journey from purchase to profits, and I'll see you next time.